lot of the prophetic texts that we hear during the Advent season that directly concern the sending of the Holy Spirit are oracles by which God speaks to the human heart by way of promise, with accents on love and fidelity in these promises. According to these promises, at the proper time, the Lord's Spirit will renew the hearts of people, engraving a new law in them. The Spirit of God will gather and reconcile the scattered and divided people. The Spirit of God will transform all of creation and dwell with people in peace. Are not these things that we yearn for today in our own hearts? That in the disappointments and the struggles we all share, both in our personal lives and just in the attitude of the world at large, do we not long for a renewal of our hearts, to once again perhaps recommit ourselves to living in the new law of love? Do we not long, both personally and globally, for people to be gathered together and be reconciled, that the scattered and the divided people can somehow become united, not uniform, but united? Do we not long for the world of God's creation to be healed from all of its pollution, from all of its causes for extreme weather? Do we not long for the earth to be healed? These are all things that God can do, and in fact, God is already doing. It's just not finished yet. Hence the reason for our longing, the reasons for our yearning. We see what God can do, yet we see that there's so much more yet to be done. That's where you and I come in as the church. For you see, God works this renewal of heart. God works this gathering and reconciling of peoples. God works this transformation of all creation through human servants. And we hear in today's prophet from Isaiah a poem about a servant of the Lord who does these things, anointed with the Spirit of God, who will certainly speak good news to the poor, to heal the brokenhearted, and have seeds of justice and peace grow and come forth in a garden like a new Eden, like a new creation. This servant, this human servant, will do these things for God. And did not Jesus himself, fully human and fully divine, ultimately take on this servant role, who gathered the people together to reconcile them, who by his dying and rising destroyed the power of death and renewed the hearts of people and formed a new covenant, a new law in the hearts of people, rather than being inscribed on tablets, inscribed in our hearts. And by virtue of his rising again and breathing the Holy Spirit into us, his church, that we might continue to transform all the world, both biologically and relationally. We can see even the need in this Advent time and in these desires for transformation, for healing, for reconciling, for renewal. We yearn for them, yet we also are afraid of them, because there seems to be a darkness between where we are and where we could be. And that darkness needs to be passed through. Jesus demonstrates this darkness by his utter God-forsakenness in entering death and being buried in the earth, a darkness which seems to have no direction. Are we not all somehow innately afraid of the dark? I hear it all the time when it comes to driving up and down Flanders Road or Route 132 or any of the roads that actually unite and tie together and bridge the two communities of Woodbury and Bethlehem. Everybody seems to be afraid of the dark. But Jesus Christ promises us light. Light that enables us to actually see in the dark, see enough in the dark, to proceed through the dark to greater light. This is our Advent promise. This is what we look for as we spiritually prepare for the advent of Christ at Christmas. To embrace the dark, to face the dark, knowing that there is light, not just as a beacon to guide us, but also to accompany us, that we may then live in that light, that presence of God. What are some of the dark places in your heart right now that you need to have renewed? What are some dark places that promote division in our lives? What are some of the dark places that hinder us from caring for God's creation just a little bit more? And what is it that one might be afraid of in those dark places? And my brothers and sisters, Jesus Christ is our light. Jesus Christ can help us with the darkness. Jesus Christ can lead us to renewal and fullness of life. That's what Jesus Christ can say for himself. That is what John the Baptist said as he testified to the light. We, as the risen Christ, living in us, are a light for the nations. And in our prayer and in our conscience, we need to examine what we too have to say for ourselves.